Welcome to the video, guys. We got some more good news around Brexit, showing as per usual the Ramona's claims of disaster and economic slowdown are not likely to happen, something we obviously knew all along. You might remember hearing them screaming about leaving the EU and how much we will lose not trading with them, but it seems, as many predicted, we could actually do much better outside the EU with the Atlantic trade deal, which is already on the cards. This Atlantic trade deal might also include Canada and the Republic of Ireland if they ditch the EU and become an independent country rather than the bitch of Brussels and now its bank. The claims out today are saying this Atlantic trade bloc could be worth up to £20 trillion, which would obviously dwarf the EU. Of course, take that with a pinch of salt the size of the Dead Sea. Economic predictions are Mystic Meg territory, which the Remainers used all the time and got it consistently wrong literally every time. But that being said, the Express article we're going to look at today headlines: Brexit liftoff. UK could forge £20 trillion trading bloc with US to eclipse the EU. The UK will forge a post-Brexit Anglophone alliance with the United States worth an eye-watering $20 trillion, an expert has claimed, packing significantly more financial firepower than the European Union can muster. Ray Bassett, who has just published his new book, Ireland and the EU Post-Brexit, believes Dublin must follow London's example by severing ties with Brussels in order to become part of the new trading bloc, which he envisages would also include Canada. Mr. Bassett, himself a former Irish ambassador to Canada as well as Jamaica and the Bahamas, fears without a so-called IR exit, Ireland will end up a peripheral, isolated player on the edge of the continent, which essentially it already is. And what he is saying there is actually something I covered in a video just the other day about Ireland possibly leaving the EU because now they have to pay more money than they get back for the first time ever. In his book, he writes, despite the short-term quixotic behaviour of the Trump administration, there is every possibility of the emergence of an Anglophone North Atlantic free trade area encompassing the USA, Canada and Britain. This would form part of an alternative trade strategy for the UK post-Brexit. Mr. Bassett stressed the strong sense of kinship between the three countries in question. He added, the aim of these arrangements with Canada and the United States would be the centre of an Anglophone North Atlantic free trade and investment area, involving both North American countries and the UK. According to the data carried on the International Monetary Fund's website, the combined GDP of the three nations as of 2020 totals just over €20.5 trillion, that is supposed to say, more than £19 trillion or $25 trillion. That is £5 trillion more than the EU's total, which is slightly less than £15 trillion. The UK would bring with it its GDP of almost $3 trillion, Mr. Bassett said. The UK would bring with it a GDP of almost $3 trillion, Mr. Bassett said. During his visit to the UK in 2019, President Trump was enthusiastic about a bilateral trade deal with the UK, stating that the US is committed to a phenomenal trade deal with the UK as soon as it leaves the EU. When Ireland's two biggest trading partners start moving towards a mutually beneficial new agreement, it is time to take serious note. Which also goes back to what I covered in the video the other day and what I said about Ireland jumping out of the EU as soon as possible. Ireland was heavily reliant on American investment and easy trade arrangements between the EU and the USA, Mr. Bassett said. Therefore, anything which threatened the relationship, such as the UK being given preferential treatment in a post-Brexit environment, represented a major risk to Ireland, he explained. He warned, while US relations with the UK are likely to warm considerably in the next few years, the same cannot be said for EU-US relations, which have been under strain since President Trump was elected in the USA in 2016. Because Trump knows the EU is an undemocratic shitshow that he would probably love to get rid of, much like Boris Johnson if he had the meat and two veg for it. I can wholly see Boris Johnson signing us up to some sort of bullshit in the post-Brexit trade deal if he doesn't start growing a spine. That is what I mean there. However, it is doubtful if Ireland's interests will be a major consideration for the EU Commission and its relations with Washington. It will be primarily concerned with bigger ticket items like German car exports and that country's investment in the USA. Because obviously the German car exports are extremely important to the EU Commission. We've seen it over the past few years, as where Ireland they really couldn't give a shit about, especially now they just want to milk them for money and that'll be the end of that. He said, in recent years, and particularly so since the admission of post-communist European states, the English language has become dominant within the EU, paradoxically the lingua franca. However, in a post-Brexit EU with only 5 million native English speakers in the Republic of Ireland, the English language will no longer have a strong case to be the dominant language of the institutions. Though I expect it will still end up being that because most of the world still use it. It is the best language out there, uncontested at the end of the day. He added, as the effects of Brexit finally take shape, Ireland will find itself on the extreme western fringe of the European Union. Well, hopefully they join us in freedom out of that undemocratic shit show. Then they can join us in this post-Brexit free trade agreement with the North American states and possibly a few others who might join later down the line. So, like I said, if any of this is to actually be believed, then it could really be some good news for us, and obviously the left-wing Remainers will be screaming from the rooftops, crying their eyes out because they obviously want Britain to fail. Reports like this, of course if true, will send them into absolute shit fits, and I will be looking out for it on Twitter and other social media today, as well as of course in The Guardian, where we might find Owen Jones or one of them soy boys bitching like a little girl. Now, before I go guys, remember the daily livestream has moved over to Twitch, so if you want to join me over there, the link will be down in the video description, along with the channel's other social media links for you to support me on other platforms.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors, slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires, and that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going, and we are glad to be going. We're off.